out Zion Williamson in a podcast. He didn't really. But just there's an element of basketball nerd Illuminati that tries to do like, well, actually, I was on Basketball Reference. So actually, Karl Malone, Zion is averaging more points. Hold on a second. Let me get my retainer out.
Nick, why'd you say that?
More minutes than you did when you were 20. Who cares? Let Karl Malone do his Karl Malone thing. Back off Basketball Reference a little bit. The blurb, and I've got the whole blurb here, of things Karl Malone talks about. Here we go. How about times he almost brawled with Jerry Sloan? What? How Malone thinks he's the best point guard ever. Stockton. Oh, he's still waiting for some calls for NBA coaches. Take advantage of him, of what he has to offer. There's tons of stuff in this podcast. Don't make a big deal of the Basketball Reference. He didn't call out Zion. He's just being awesome Karl Malone, driving trucks and smoking cigars. Let him live. Get off of Basketball Reference. I'm sorry, Katay. That's so angry in the morning, but it's necessary. I apologize.
No, it's fine. Real quick, by the way, Karl Malone, bad guy, bad takes. Here's a good guy with good takes. That's Brandon Marshall. So listen to this, America. Scouting combine canceled because of the pandemic. So what are we going to do? How about this? Go down to South Florida. House of Athlete hosting 30 to 50 prospects. If you sign up early, you might even get a meet and greet with one Brandon Marshall. I might come down myself to give a, to try to brush up on my future GM chops. So House of Athlete hosting a scouting combine for the young prospects who are missing out on the opportunity. I think it's going to be broadcast somewhere, and I assume live streamed on Brandon's wildly popular Instagram feed. So House of Athlete, March 3rd through 5th, hosting a scouting combine. I'm going to broadcast it live whether I'm invited or not. So there you go. How about that? House of
I'll
Athlete.
be there.
Will you come give us your analysis?
Doing a burpees competition in the corner.
Yeah, I will.
If anybody wants to join.
Awesome.
The Australian Open gets underway February 7th, and one of the downsides to playing in a Grand Slam tennis event while also quarantining in a hotel room for days and days on end without the ability to leave at all, with only your trainer quarantining in the room next to you, shouting a workout to you through the wall, especially if you are Canadian Vasek Pospisil, is you really can only hone in on one shot. And it is the front pedal, back pedal, front ground stroke, two double hand back stroke shot. This is it, guys. If he is met with this shot when the Australian Open is underway in a couple weeks, he's your tournament winner. Vasek is your winner. Now, should he get anything else from his opponent whatsoever, and it's really up for grabs for anybody. But a couple things, if you want to move some stuff on the right so there's no issue there with your impeding your way to the window, and also move away from the window and get this shot, Australian Open goes to Vasek. It's mark it down. Put money on it. It's done.
I'm back. I'm happy to be back. And we got some great pieces, and we just move on. And I let my actions and my game speak for itself like I planned on doing. Just needed a pause.
There we go.
His words, he needed a pause, and he took it. So, Brandon, our resident Brooklyn Nets guy, what do you expect the Nets to look like tonight with Kyrie, KD, and James Harden all on the floor together for the first time?
Yeah, I expect them to compete and continue to look like a premier team in the NBA.
Kyrie's jersey.
But the reality is, right, exactly. Let's go. You know what time it is. Brooklyn all the way. And Nick, before I even finish my point here, do you really want to go the next 3 to 4 months with leaning on that one little branch of they don't play defense? They're not a really good defense. Do you really want to do that for the next 3 months?
Yeah, I do. It won't be the only branch, but I do. Yeah. It'll age beautifully.
So look,
it'll age, but go ahead, Brandon.
Here's the deal, Nick. I expect them to be a premier team in the NBA, but right now they're overachieving. KD, Kyrie, and James Harden hasn't even practiced together yet. The things that KD and James Harden is doing is off of muscle memory because they spent 3 years together in OKC. So you insert Kyrie, there's going to be growing pains. I don't expect this team to look like a championship team until mid-March. They have a lot of work to do. Don't get it twisted. By the end of the day, we know who they are. I talked to someone in the Nets organization. They said this to me because I'm like, look, I got Nick Wright on my show, and he has a strong point. He's going back to like the last 30 years and talking about mergers and 50 years of history. There hasn't been a champion there hasn't been a champion that got it done not playing good defense. And they're like, look, Brandon, these guys know how to win. They know how to play a good enough defense to get to the finals. We know what we need to do once we get there to compete. And those are the things that we'll work on. So I expect them to get what they need done soon.
Okay. All right. I'm excited. Wilds, I want to hear your take on this because I feel like I'm going to have more coming my way. So I'd rather have it all laid out.
No.
And then I can try to parry it off. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. All right, so here's what I've got. I think it's, I disagree with Brandon here. The idea that it's like, that there's some version of like basketball version of the Tampa Bay Bucks, not buying it. I think it all gels immediately. Kyrie hasn't played in Cleveland since his first game with the Celtics. He's missed games, he's been inactive, so he is gonna come out rested and ready to go. Maybe throw up a 46-point game for the president. Why not? Make a nice statement there. Oh, think about it, 46 points for Kyrie. Here's the other thing, to your defensive point. And I had to go deep down into Basketball Reference, my favorite website, Jenna, and yours too, Nicholas. And I said, Dusty, can you break out that old Harden is not good at defense debunking stat that we had, where Harden gets to loose balls, he gets to deflections, he's one of the best players in the league. And to Brandon's point, the end of that Milwaukee game, to get KD the shot, Harden missed the shot, boom, guess who got the offensive rebound? James Harden. So it speaks to the fact that they can turn it on when they need to. And I agree, I think Kyrie's gonna go for 46 tonight. That's your lock it in prediction from the prognosticator of prognosticators. Okay. Big game from Kyrie.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, have y'all said your piece here? Because now we just have to address some things. First of all, the end of that Milwaukee game, actually, you're talking about the Nets' second to last possession, because their last possession was Durant, for the third time this season, blowing a chance to ice a game or win a game. He dribbled it off his knee, and the Bucks ended up getting a final shot. They missed it, but that's neither here nor there. Folks, let me ask Wilds a question. Let's go side by side. Kevin Wilds, who is the fastest man alive? Who is it?
Usain Bolt.
Okay.
Usain Bolt?
Why doesn't he have any golds? And in fact, why doesn't he even qualify for the hurdles in the Olympics? He's faster than everybody.
He's never practiced.
Why doesn't he run that race?
He's never practiced hurdles. Never.
Okay, well, I don't know if he's never practiced it or if it's just despite his overwhelming speed, he can't do that thing that's half of the race. So it's like he's the best in the world at half of it, but he's so bad at the other part, doesn't even compete for it. That's going to be your Brooklyn Nets, y'all. And you can say, oh my God, they're going to be unstoppable offensively. Well, it's funny. I've never worn a retainer, Wilds, but I do study Basketball Reference. So I did something this morning, and I said, you know what?
Here we go.
Let's just go back
you got fitted for a retainer?
this century. Let's just go back this century and say, forget the defense, how does the #1 offense in basketball typically fare? Because that is the upside for the Nets. The best offense in the entire league. And this century, the #1 offense in basketball has won the title once. The 2017 Warriors. And you know what they paired it with? The #2 defense. Now, you know who was, one moment. You know who was a part of 6 separate #1 offenses that didn't even make the finals? Steve Nash. 3 times in Phoenix, 3 times in Dallas. Oh my goodness, run and gun. Luka was the #1 offense last year. Portland had some, Milwaukee had some, Denver had some. Durant had one in Oklahoma City. They didn't make the finals that year. The Nets' upside is be the #1 offense. And I actually, unlike a lot of people, have watched a lot of James Harden. So I know he is not the abysmal defender was made out to be in Houston.
Don't have to be.
But you know who is? Kyrie. And Kyrie being added to this equation is not a net gain. It's not a net positive. Everyone's talking about, oh, how they looked without Kyrie. That's less of a concern than how they're about to look with Kyrie, Wilds.
See, here's the thing. I think those are very good points. I don't understand why Kyrie is such a bad defender. He's not like so Isaiah Thomas small that he can just get bodied up. He's quick as lightning, so he should be. Does it come down and he's smart as everyone on the court? So he's got all the intangibles there. I don't know if it's an effort thing or he's like, I need to score so much that I'm going to take this part off a little bit.
Isn't it?
Well, it matters a little bit.
It doesn't.
Points from Nick.
It doesn't.
I just think Kyrie can become a better defender.
It doesn't matter. Like, let Nick have his moment. He has another month and a half, 2 months where he can hang on this olive branch. He can hang on this branch and talk about defense. Because we know the game has changed, Wilds. Yeah, they're not the greatest defenders. We know that. But let me tell you something. Man, that offense is their greatest defense because you got to come with it. Because if James Harden ain't putting up 30 and 34 like he's done at the start of his career with the Nets, you got KD and you got Kyrie who can. So you got to keep up with those guys. And in 2 to 3 months, Nick, you're going to have to change your tone because I'm telling you right now, man, this thing is prolific and it's going to be one of the most amazing offenses we've ever seen. So we don't need to have a top 5 defense. We need to have a top 15 defense, which they are right now.
The Mavericks,
that's okay. Top 15 would be okay.
They're not top 15. The Mavericks had the best offense in the history of basketball last year. Oh, they moved up. Okay, they were 19 when I checked. My apologies. The Mavericks had the best offense in the history of basketball last year. Jenna, they went home in round 1. That's all I'm saying.
They didn't have any scores. They just had Luka. Nick, who else? They just had Luka.